For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen. The UNK volleyball team is in action today in Wayne as they'll take on Concordia St. Paul in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Lopers coming off a second-place finish at the MIAA conference tournament. Head coach Rick Squire saw some positives from last week's effort in St. Joe.
You know, for the most part, I thought we had a good tournament run. You know, kind of ended with a disappointing finish and kind of felt like we were starting to problem solve our way through that Washburn match. You know, kind of late in the third, we're in a pretty good spot. And then just kind of came apart in one rotation and they made a run. And, you know, from that point forward, it was really tough because it was kind of deflating when it looked like maybe we had kind of crawled over the hump, so to speak. But, you know, to get to the finals, I think we felt good about it. I think that's part of the reason we were able to make a case for ourselves to get an at-large bid going into the Central Regional. So, you know, we sure don't like the fact that somebody's beaten us 3 times this year, but, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you know, we have 28 wins and we're still playing.
How about this season? When it started, you had a lot of question marks. You were able to answer several of those. To put this together and to be back in the NCAA tournament, you got to be pretty happy with how you had some kids step up.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody would have told me in August that you're going to go win 28 games and get back into the tournament, I'm sure we would have all taken that. And, you know, I think a lot of it was the development of some of the people who had to step into new roles. I mean, we can start with, you know, Peyton Neff in the setter position. For a number of years, we've had 4th, 5th, and 6th year setters running our offense. And now you've got somebody doing it for the first time who's a redshirt freshman. And there's just no way there's not a learning curve with that. And the thing about Peyton is she's been a great competitor all along, and so the more experience she gained, the better she was going to get, and she started to get some confidence, I think, you know, the last third of the season, and that's really been helpful. And then, you know, you got a new libero with Jensen Rouse, who's held the fort down there, been our, you know, rock in serve receive, and, you know, even somebody like Lexi Stevens, who we've asked to, as a true freshman, come in and just take a little more responsibility every week and do some serve receiving and things like that. And so, you know, there were some new faces out there, and Fallon Studite, who stepped in, you know, behind an All-American and played like an experienced player, which she is in a lot of ways, but on the other hand, was a first-year starter. And so then our veterans did their thing and kind of pulled some of those lesser experienced players along, and you know, we were able to win enough games to get to this point.
About your program, you've now qualified for the NCAA tournament in this regional 23 straight years. That's a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that while you're in the middle of a season, you know, it's not really on your mind. You're just trying to deal with the challenge in front of you, which usually that's plenty to worry about. But then you hear that sort of a thing, and I guess if I were, you know, looking at somebody else's program with that sort of a thing, I would think that's a, you know, a pretty amazing run. And there are a couple other programs in the midst of, you know, runs similar, and so you know, we're glad to be among, you know, only a few programs probably that can say, you know, they've been doing this for a couple of decades in a row. And I think probably the cherry on top of that is we know that this region is, you know, really ridiculously deep, and nationally ranked teams don't get in. You know, we don't have to look very far. You got Southwest Minnesota State, 10th in the country, doesn't make the regional. They only have 6 losses. And so it's a fine line to get in. And somehow we've, you know, skated on the right side of that thing for a long time. And I'm sure it, you know, it can't last forever, but I think we should enjoy it while it's going. That's for sure.
Well, that was UNK head coach Rick Squires. So today the Lopers will take on Concordia St. Paul at 2:30 from Wayne. We'll bring you the matchup on 93.1 The River, 106.9 in Kearney, and on the River app. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen.